No, wait, hold on. Those multiple examples are of people feigning outrage at a thing to grift. Because they, like, we can look at
He wrote down grift. What's that got to do? What is this whiteboard? This is so gay. What are you doing?
Gender's an identity. Gender is an identity. When you are on feminizing hormones for 2+ years, the advantage goes away.
Yeah, nothing shows that. The advantage goes away. You can't show that.
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who's looked at the studies, there are no relevant counter studies.
These findings suggest that the strength may well be preserved in trans women during the first 3 years of hormone therapy. This is the first thing I look at.
I love you, Mary.
I've been talking a bit about like trans ally debate bros recently because we chatted with first Amanda, who doesn't like me very much. They tend not to. Me personally, I think they tend to debate in very bad faith. They tend to push arguments that no one in their right mind would push. And we've got this one. We've got the trans sports argument is fake outrage. So what I'm expecting is things like, there's not very many trans athletes, which just begs the question, well, how many is too many? We might deny male strength over females. I don't know what else. I'm still learning some of the cooked arguments these people come up with. But yeah, this guy Jovan Bradley, he's not trans himself as far as I know, a cis ally who's decided to argue on behalf of trans people, and then also pushes like ACAB and prison abolition, leftism, all that kind of stuff, all the constellation of beliefs things that you expect to see. If someone's a trans ally, they're probably all those things as well. But yeah, let's see. Probably helps if I turn my desktop audio on as well. All right.
Hello, are you here to debate?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up? You here to debate?
Yep.
Cool. Give me a second. Cody, thank you for the $20 on Venmo and Indigo.
Yeah, so he has his list of principles, I guess, list of things you can debate him on. I do this every time, I don't care. Trans men/women and men/women, gender affirming care for minors, something we've just been talking about a fair amount, very, very opposed to myself. Trump is failing America. MAGA are uneducated, don't care about people. The Christian God is evil. Pro-choice. Oh, we don't talk about police anymore. I used to talk about abolishing police and prisons.
Thank you for the $10 on Cash App. Thank you, guys. Real quick, you have a bit of an echo. Are you on speaker?
Yeah, I'll take it off.
Okay, cool.
Is that better?
Yep. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Ethan, 24, he, him.
Ethan, 24.
He doesn't like it when you refuse to give pronouns, by the way. And judging by my conversation with Alec Gunter, it tends to really destroy these people's brains. If you're a supposed trans person who doesn't really enforce pronouns and doesn't really enforce a particular identity, just wants you to call them whatever. It tends to melt these people's brains. It's hilarious.
Or he, him. And Ethan, what do you disagree with on the board?
Yeah, we have to put it on here and stuff. It's so cringe. He's got a whiteboard now. Like, who cares about his pronouns? Who gives a shit? I really want to go on this guy's show and say my pronouns are literally. I suppose if you want the bad faith to begin straight away, then that's how it is. Yeah, because they think it's like normalizing it, like normalize asking people's pronouns. But the thing is, transsexual people don't want this. Transsexual people in general, they want you to guess correctly. Like, I don't know how this guy would feel if I called up saying, well, I'd rather, based on my name and maybe my voice or whatever, you came to a decision yourself. And I'll just deal with it. I don't know. But yeah, they all go with the non-binary model of, well, you want to give your pronouns. But then, of course, non-binary people want to give their pronouns and not have them be guessed, because nobody guesses they, them pronouns. Doesn't happen. People say that to hedge their bets, but they don't guess that. Anyway.
I guess I'll go Well, first of all, I want you to define kind of what you mean by like trans women are women. So I kind of agree that, like, yes, their gender identity should be respected, but I also don't think we should discount the difference between biological women and trans women. Like, I feel like a lot of the left tries to just discard that and engage them in everything when there are clearly differences and they have a different lived experience.
Yeah, sure. We don't, by the way. When it comes to cis women, which is the term we use for people whose gender identity aligns with their
Clearly differences and they have a different lived experience.
Yeah, sure. We don't.
Try biological women and trans women. Like, I feel like a lot of the left tries to just identity. Trans women are women. So I kind of agree that, like, yes, their gender identity should be respected, but I also don't think we should discount the difference between biological women.
Okay, so he's going to say we don't discount the difference, but we kind of do in many ways. And if we didn't, why would you be saying the transport argument is fake outrage? You'd have to agree with some of it. Because that's a major difference between men and women, is like size and strength. Anyway.
Scar experience.
Yeah, sure. We don't, by the way. When it comes to cis women, which is the term we use for people whose gender identity aligns with their sex, and trans women, we do distinguish them from each other. When comparing and contrasting their two different lived experiences or other differences in the group, we use the term cis and trans. But if we're talking about them without comparing or contrasting, we would just call both of them women.
See, I feel like, yeah, but a lot of biological women don't like being called.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, don't we use cis all the time when it isn't really necessary? I'm not sure.
Trans women? Or
They're not called trans women.
Cis women?
Oh, sucks to suck. Sucks to suck for them, truly.
A lot of biological women don't like being called trans women. Or
They're not called trans women.
Cis women?
Oh, sucks to suck.
Yeah, this guy doesn't care that women don't necessarily like being called cis. But you're a man. Do you really get much of an opinion on this? You're just telling women, oh, just get over it if they're being called cis and they don't want to be called cis. Well, they might not find it relatable to them. Like, we're insisting that we should label people correctly and we're using gender identity. Well, plenty of women don't really fucking believe in gender identity and stuff. They're just themselves. So they probably don't want to wear like cis using. And you're just saying, oh, well, it sucks to suck. Okay, amazing. Wow. So you don't actually have an argument. You don't think that women should be cool with, like, we should have it so that males can be called women if that's what they want to be. And we should respect that completely. But then if women don't want to be called cis, sucks to suck? That's a double standard there.
Sucks to suck for them, truly. I will build them a bridge and hopefully they can get over it.
And people...
There you go. You get the trans ally, I don't care. We're never cornered with something that they don't have an answer for. It's like, well, I don't care.
People do try to discount that and act like there's no difference. Why else are they trying to allow them into sports? And I understand that the rate of athletes is low. That doesn't mean there's not a push to include.
Wait. We don't separate sports by whether you're trans or not. Sports are just separated by gender. So if trans women are women...
No, they're separated by sex.
Men, they should be
separated by sex.
Men and women are sex terms. But we're trying to play fast and loose on what the sexes mean. And we're trying to get some people incorporated into the other sex based on gender identity. But they're separated based on sex. Let's be clear here.
And I understand that the rate of athletes is low. That doesn't mean there's not a push to include.
Wait. We don't separate sports by whether you're trans or not. Sports are just separated by gender. So if trans women are women, they should be able to be
separated by sex.
Women. Why?
That's my opinion.
Why?
There are inherent differences.
There are inherent differences between the sexes, so sports should be separated by sexes.
I mean, that's a very reasonable position, no?
So you're saying that if it is the case that there is a difference in your biology that would give you some type of advantage, this reason you should be barred from competing.
Oh, this is slimy. No, it's not a difference in your biology. It's that specific difference in your biology that you want to be considered part of the women's, but your biology is male. He's going to try and worm out of this just differences in biology when, yeah, some people have like conditions that give them an edge. and they generally are allowed to compete because they're not cross-sexing. They're just advantaged in some way that the sexes doesn't kind of discount, you know? This is very slippery. I already know what's going to happen here.
Be separated by sex.
Women. Why? So sports should be separated by sexes. So you're saying that if it is the case that there is a difference in your biology that would give you some type of advantage.
This is not what he's saying at all.
This reason you should be barred from competing with people without that biological advantage.
Yeah, this is not what he's saying at all. He might agree if he's a bit stupid and he doesn't understand, but he's not saying that. He's saying it should be separated by sex because one sex has an advantage over the other sex. I wish I'd argue as a trans man, a real man with this guy. Yeah, I mean, I think I know what we'd get if we did, though.
Yes.
Okay, so why?
See, he fell for the trap. Jovan is playing a word game here. You don't fall for the trap. The guy calling in is a bit of a moron, unfortunately. Hate to say it, but it's happened. Like, you've messed up, bro. This narrative is so yeah, the chat is nuts. People just don't want me to have booba and peen. Wow. You can just get fat. Name 2 trans women in sports. Leah Thomas, Sadie Schreiner. Do you want more?
Competing with people without that biological advantage.
Yes.
Okay, so why do we let Michael Phelps swim?
Why
do we let Michael Phelps swim?
See, I don't think Ethan understands that he's changed the parameters. He's changed his stance. What the guy said was about sex. He's just saying biological differences. That doesn't have to mean sex. That can mean one man and another man. And one man has a biological difference that gives him an advantage. But in general, they're not excluded because they're still in that sex. So he's playing word games. And unfortunately, Ethan here has fallen for it.
Well, because he has does he have a mutation or something?
Well, yeah, he has multiple mutations that grant him a biological advantage
Oh, thank you, BCR. I hope you're good.
in swimming.
Thank you, boo.
That's why he's so good at it. If
Yeah,
we're
that's
saying
not
that
due to direct surgery. And she was just born like that. They're born and then they transfer and then they do it. Also, to the degree of which you can, at what point in
Trans people are born the opposite sex. This is the problem. He's playing word games. He's just gotten Ethan to fall into a trap here.
transition, are you allowed to do it? Are you allowed to
what are you talking
be
about?
like 5 weeks into transition as a fully grown adult and then go into
that's a whole different argument.
fucking
Are we
football
pivoting
game?
arguments now? That's a whole different argument, friend. Trans people.
Yeah, but they haven't specified.
Hold on, hold on.
Well, yes, not the
have.
argument.
Pretty much every sports has specified, and typically it's about 2 years of cross-sex hormone.
Yeah, and the evidence suggests that even this isn't enough. Like, I've seen evidence that suggests that 2 years is still not enough to bring that advantage down. And by the way, that advantage that we're talking about, that's just the strength advantage. You've got the way the hip is developed, you've got height, you've got bone structure, you've got lung capacity, you've got so many things that are not changed from HRT.
Not the argument.
Pretty much every sports has specified, and typically it's about 2 years of cross.
Actually, hasn't almost every sport banned trans people now? Like, it depends on the sport and the governing body's policy. Listen, I'm going off the AI overview. I don't know how good this is, but World Rugby, World Athletics, any male puberty. So what he's saying is wrong there, presumably. Male puberty, World Rowing, World Boxing, with certain restrictions. So only certain sports allow trans women who have dropped their testosterone levels or have been on HRT for a couple of years. Like, in general, most sports are against this. Most sports are not after 2 years. The NCAA used to be 1 year, which is way not long enough. Like, Jesus Christ, you want to have a conversation about 2 years being like still not long enough. 1 year is like, like that's a joke. You know what I mean? But most sports are not saying, well, if you've lowered your testosterone for 2 years or whatever, or taken HRT for 2 years. Nah, they're saying no male puberty. Things are like, I don't know if this guy's not keeping up. Things are changing faster than he realizes, I think. It's not allowed.
Yeah,
Well, yes,
not the argument.
Pretty much every sports has specified, and typically it's about 2 years of cross-sex hormones.
Yeah, this is wrong. He's wrong with this. Most of them are just not down with it anymore. Male puberty, that's the standard now.
But your claim was that it's the difference in biology, but Michael Phelps is okay because he was born that way, but trans people are also...
Yeah, Michael Phelps is a man competing with other men. A trans woman would be a man competing with other women. But you're not going to accept that they're a man, even though at the start you acknowledged that cis and trans women are different. You've got it on your board here. They're different. How are they different? Well, one of them is male, the other is female. There are differences with males and females. Like, I don't know if he plays the word games so as to avoid these kind of very obvious points, or if he actually believes that HRT alone will lower your advantage in no time flat in order to let you compete. But I think he believes some very wonky things around this area, quite frankly.
Also born that way. Like a trans woman having male physiology would be because she was born with male physiology. So I don't understand why Michael Phelps can do this, but they can't.
We just answered that, man. We just answered that. Michael Phelps is a man going against men. Physiology, that means they're male. And they're going up against females, women. Cis women are female.
All right, then maybe there's an argument that Michael Phelps shouldn't. I don't think that's honestly a super unfair argument.
Okay, so we're just saying if you have a
No, don't fall for the trap. Listen, it's very simple. Michael Phelps is a man competing with men. Cut that shit off. He shouldn't be still on Michael Phelps. You shouldn't be letting him do this. These are very controlling people with conversations. So you kind of have to be on it. You have to be sharp. You have to be smart. Because these people will go to the ends of the earth to justify lying, including just changing the words around so that they can use an argument that is completely bad faith and has nothing to do with the conversation, but get you stuck on that argument.
Argument in the world.
If you have a biological advantage in the competition, you can't compete in the competition to find the person who's...
Because that wasn't his standard to begin with. You've just managed to get him to accept a premise that isn't true because he wasn't listening or something.
Okay, if aliens just came to our world and we're like, okay, we want to let you go in the Olympics, and they're just objectively fucking better at us and everything. It's like, it's just not super fair, but like we invited them, so fuck.
Space Jam argument, got it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So what I'm hearing is when we're trying to decide who's the best at the be the best you can be competition, we don't actually...
This whiteboard thing is like gay as fuck, by the way. This is so gay. Hungover D'Angelo Wallace. Oh my God, that's amazing.
We want the best people there. We want an even playing field of like the most average people and let them compete.
No, we don't want people who have been grown in testosterone.
No, we want the best of the males and we want the best of the females, and for them not to be mixed, because otherwise it'll just be the best of the males. And maybe at the very bottom end of the ladder, you'll have the odd female that is like super, super good. You know what I mean?
Testosterone that have the shoulder and bone structure of a man boxing and beating the fuck out of a woman who has had estrogen and a frail body and just doesn't have that.
Okay, you think
different.
Okay, do you think every person born a male will beat every person born a female in competitive?
He knows. You know. That's why you're wording it a certain way. You know that males are better than females, and you've acknowledged that trans women have male physiology. You know. You're deliberately wording it a certain way. Well, do you think every man would be every woman? Obviously fucking not. That's not how it is. Emma Vigeland, Jesus Christ, don't make me throw up at the mere mention of fucking Emma Vigeland. I hate the Majority Report. It's terrible.
Fighting sports?
No, but if you look at the averages, statistic evidence supports that, like, yes, men are better at sports. Men have more physical strength. Testosterone makes your muscles grow bigger.
Okay, but if this is the case, why do we have examples of trans men who beat cisgender men in boxing?
What examples? Okay, there's one in Pink News. Trans male boxer Patricio Manuel wins fight against cisgender rival. Ranked 99th in the UK. US and 782nd in the world. Wow. Wow. Crazy. The trans-only league is dehumanizing. How's it dehumanizing? People are always nuts, by the way. These people are always crazy. Like, wow. Yeah, occasionally it's going to happen. No one's doubting that. He's a super featherweight. And he was 99th in super featherweights, I guess, in boxing in the US. So, not amazing, to be honest. Won 3 by decision, lost 1 by knockout. None of these people, by the way, none of these people have names I can click on. So how good are any of these people, quite honestly? With these like big events? I don't know, man. Not sure about this. I don't know. Is this the best we can do? Anyway.
Yeah, because not all men fucking are that strong or skilled.
Thank you, Boo.
Okay.
It's just like you could be
And
more
why do we have
strong and skilled
examples
and
of
compete.
cisgender women beating transgender women in fighting sports?
I could look some up.
I mean, it just feels weird that, like,
but
if
it's
we're
also
saying,
the
like,
rate of them is.
Yeah, just because you've got the odd time where one of them has beaten the other, that doesn't mean that one doesn't have an overall advantage. And that if more and more of these people keep flocking into these sports, these male people will start overwhelming the sport and it'll start being just female. Not to mention, just male rather than female. Not to mention, like, anytime a male athlete is winning anything or placing well in anything, they're displacing other female athletes that have lost. They've lost like opportunities and stuff through it in their own sports because male people have decided that they need to go in the women's instead of the men's. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, philosophically, it's an awful like idea. I can't square it. You've got male people who are advantaged in most sports coming into female sports. I don't know how you can square it anyway. It doesn't matter if the odd woman can beat the odd man. It's got nothing to do with it. There's a reason why maybe the odd woman has beaten the odd man, but they still don't want men in their sports.
It's low. We're stopping it before it gets in. And there are people who are more reasonable about it and pushing more regulations, but there's also people who are just saying, no, if you believe that, you should be able to go. No one should tell you that anything that goes counter to your gender-affirming care is bullshit.
Why don't we just make all sports co-ed?
I don't think the left calls out.
Why don't we just make all sports co-ed? You know why. Because it would just be male sports.
It's extremist, and I think that's a big reason why
because I don't think the extremists like matter. I think people that actually care about this shit, like the extremists on both sides who care about like the sports issue,
This guy is an extremist, by the way.
Are just like loud for no reason.
You want gender affirming care for minors? You're an extremist as far as I can tell.
I also think like the right doesn't have any substantial evidence to back up their claims, because what we know based on like studies done in sports medicine is that when you are on feminizing hormones for 2+ years, the advantage goes away.
We don't know that. That has not been confirmed anywhere. What are you talking about? There's evidence that it doesn't go away completely after 2 years. There's evidence that it might never go away. Not least because things like muscle mass are not the only things that go into like your strength. I don't know what sources he would be citing. And again, it sounds like we have another thing of, well, if few studies say something, that means that must equal, this is literally it. You know what I mean?
When you are on feminizing hormones for 2+ years, the advantage goes away.
Yeah, nothing shows that. The advantage goes away. You can't show that.
It goes away. So like...
He's lying. And the problem is, someone like this Ethan person, have they had these many kind of conversations, or have they listened to these many conversations to know how these people operate? So it sucks. Like, it's very easy to have all this shit prepared, even if most of it's bullshit. Because the people that call in typically are not on the same level as you. They haven't been looking into it for however long. They don't have this pre-prepared list of positions, you know?
What would the issue be?
I feel like I have a lot of issues trusting medical industries that I feel like would be financially pushed to profit from
financial benefit.
gender affirming care. Like the Medicare
Okay.
industry, all the people you're telling
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what to drill down on, and that sucks. That's what people like this rely on. Playing word games, getting you to accept stances that are not yours. Going off on Michael Phelps because of that, when it's got nothing to do with the actual conversation.
me they don't in therapy.
So
they don't,
all
they
the,
don't
so the
profit
studies
off
are all the studies are all wrong because they're being paid for by the medical industry.
And this is what he does. Like, this Ethan guy is not being very verbose, to be honest. So then he can just say, well, so that means you think this then. Is that what he's saying?
I'm not saying that objectively.
Okay.
This is just something I have trouble
He's
trusting.
still writing it down anyway, though. But the thing is, you're saying that this is proven when it's not.
I'm not saying I know what the
Do
objective
you have
facts. I think that
counter studies possibly that would like say the opposite? Also, do you have your speaker back on because you're echoing?
sorry, it's because I'm looking things up.
I should call it. I'll try to one day. I don't know how to, because I don't want to call like a hotline or something. If I can do it via Discord or something, I would, but I don't know. Maybe I will someday. I'm quite wary of this kind of stuff because I know, just because I can watch it and like backseat debate, like it's very different when you're in there. So I don't know. I will someday. I don't know if I need to be a bit more confident for someone like this though.
I could turn on my computer, but that would take a second.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have like counter studies.
Yeah, that's. Well, I was looking up the first thing because you asked me to bring up evidence of women.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to studies, like, yeah, the thing with data showing men are faster and stronger, this person will pretend that they're not men anymore because they've taken like HRT. So they want to focus it very much around whether HRT reduces the advantage, which to my mind it doesn't. It's certainly not been shown to.
Women who have, specifically at boxing, but I was looking.
Yeah, the majority of sports have omitted them. Yeah, true. And this guy was saying that as far as he knew, the general standard was 2 years. It's not. In most cases now, the general standard is, have you gone through male puberty? If so, then you can't compete with the women. You can just reference the statements by the Olympic committees. Yeah, I had a quick look earlier. I don't have all of them to hand, but I know for a fact that this person has been citing like some pretty bunk things.
People who have
in boxing, I assume
one
people,
title.
like in fighting sports, you're really just going to be looking at like Fallon Fox. Like there are like very few. I'm sorry, I can't do the echo, Doug. You gotta get that.
Okay. Good. My computer.
Serena and Venus both played like the 200th ranked male at the time, like back to back, and they both lost.
It's turning on, but it will take a second. But until then, I could not provide any studies.
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who's looked at the studies, there are no relevant counter studies. I can't even name a counter study.
What? So there's just no studies that don't show that 2+ years removes the fucking. I think you could probably say that it reduces strength. Yeah, I mean, this is the first one I've looked at. This is the first one I'm looking at. 24 studies. Identified and reviewed, trans women experience significant decreases. Yeah, so it decreases. But what he's saying is the advantage goes away. It's not the same. Hormone therapy reduces levels seen in cisgender women. In contrast, hormone therapy decreases strength, LBM, and muscle area, yet values remain above that observed in cisgender women, even after 36 months. 36 months, that's 3 years. These findings suggest that the strength may well be preserved in trans women during the first 3 years of hormone therapy. This is the first thing I look at. It doesn't say whatsoever what he is saying. It's suggesting that even after 3 years, that might not make it the same. So how has the advantage been nullified? He's talking absolute bollocks. Like, you're just lying. Oh my God.
Study to begin with, and I look for them. Like, as
Yeah,
a
but
job.
there's multiple examples of trans women placing high in sporting events.
There's also multiple examples of those trans women getting demolished by cis women. So what's your point? If it is the
not
case,
all women. You could take out that.
Yeah, it's not about examples and it's not about anecdotes. Like, you have to look at, the times, how they differ. Like, let's say the sprint time for males is this, and then it's this for females. That's kind of how it is for basically every sport. Until you get to like endurance running and stuff, where there kind of is less of a difference.
That's an anecdotal evidence. Like, if we have multiple examples of them winning these whole tournaments, everyone being frustrated with it, and I also think it's just ignoring the female community.
No, we don't. No, wait, hold on. Those multiple examples are of people feigning outrage at a thing to grift. Because they, like, we can look at a really direct example. We can look at Leah Thomas and Riley Gaines, and Riley Gaines has made fucking money off of being a conservative anti-trans.
Okay, so we're going into conspiracy theories, blah, blah, blah. Why is Riley Gaines making so much money off of this? It's because it's becoming more and more of a problem. Because people are noticing that these men are just entering into their sports and suddenly doing well off of it. And they're not cool with it. Yeah, so this guy's fucking full of shit. Leah hasn't made any money out of trans. Yeah, she's done so many like appearances. We're not going to talk about that.
To grift. Because they, like, we can look at
He wrote down grift. What's that got to do? What is this whiteboard? This is so gay. What are you doing?
I also think it's just ignoring the female community.
No, we don't.
Like, if we have multiple examples of them winning these whole tournaments, everyone being frustrated with it, and I also think it's just ignoring the female community.
No, we don't. No, wait, hold on. Those multiple examples are of people feigning outrage at a thing to
Feigning out. You're just making things up here.
grift. Because they, like, we can look at a really
Multiple grift. Yeah, I totally know what any of this shit means. Oh, they're just grifting. Well, you're made those people. People like Leah Thomas weren't in fucking sports. Where would Riley Gaines be? And the problem is, in general, people don't want men in women's sports. That's just not how it goes.
really direct example. We can look at Leah Thomas and Riley Gaines, has made fucking money off of being a conservative anti-trans grifter because Riley Gaines tied for 5th place with Leah Thomas. Riley Gaines wasn't gonna fucking win that shit. Leah Thomas being in that event did not make Riley Gaines lose. Riley Gaines was not good enough to win. So what the fuck's her issue?
Thank you, boo.
That's not the point. Person is male with clear advantages. They shouldn't be in with the women's. And 1 year of HRT is not good enough.
She said she tied for 5th place. She said Riley Gaines. She said she tied for 5th.
Yeah, we're just spouting off all this bullshit. Unprompted. No one's talking about fucking Riley Gaines. I think y'all have fucking Riley Gaines on the brain, like collectively. I think one of y'all should just fucking ask her out. I don't know, man.
Place, boo-hoo. You should have done better. 4 other cis women beat you. But we don't hear her complaining about this.
I tied for 5th place. They tied for 1st, not 5th. Is that right? Ugh, so annoying. You have to check every time. And it's a complete bullshit fucking point anyway. As a female athlete, I'd rather be in 4th place than 1st because a man has come in 1st place. Yeah, true. Like, we're just focusing on Riley Gaines, by the way. What about other female athletes that were displaced? Yeah, it says tied 5th place here. I think it's tied for 5th place in what? It's super, like, difficult. 5th place in the NCAA WD1. Never claimed to be number 1. Yeah, I wasn't aware that she did. Like, I don't know. He's incapable of understanding that there are women out there that are not happy with males being in their sports. So you have to go off on one about how she's like a grifter and stuff. It's pretty weak.
Them, she only complains about the person she tied for 5th place with. Like,
yeah, who's a male? Why are you going round every single house in order to avoid the points?
she would have done it. Like, she wouldn't have still come in 5th place. It's fake outrage. It's faux outrage to try to.
We're just. You don't understand the point. You don't understand the principle, and you're making all these conclusions about someone you've never met and don't know. This is pathetic.
to spark some. It's literally to grift. It's literally so they can make money
This is the grift. This is the fucking grift right here.
off of the conservative right.
Okay. I don't know. I would have to see this. I'm still not fully convinced, but I also I think they should have the right to identify with that. In terms of gender, I truly think that non-binary makes no sense. All of the other genders people have created made no sense.
What?
If you're
Let me ask you a
the
question.
fact
Is
that
there
they're
a binary?
also,
Is there a gender?
almost
Wait, just really quickly. Is there a gender binary?
technically no, because there are there are people who are born hermaphrodites.
She came in fifth. It undermines the idea that she was just upset she didn't win. I don't know. I mean, either way, whatever's going on, whatever position she finished in, we're just making up a bunch of things about her. He doesn't know this person. He doesn't know what her intentions are. He doesn't know what exactly is bothering her about this, which presumably is that she doesn't want males in female sports, you know?
It's technically like a tribe.
Even medically,
people who are born.
Just real quick. Even medically, we don't really use that term anymore. It's considered a slur towards trans and intersex. Quick.
Technically no, because there are there are people who are born hermaphrodites. It's technically like a
hermaphrodite. Who cares, bro? Get over it. You're not even trans or intersex or any of that shit. Who cares about slurs? Who cares about mean language?
Even medically,
people who are born.
Just real quick. Even medically, we don't really use that term anymore. It's considered a slur towards trans and intersex people. We don't really use that term anymore. But non-binary makes total sense.
Language policing. Get it out of here. No one cares. It's pathetic.
If there are genders that exist, there are people who will not align with any of those genders.
Those idiots in chat like, oh yeah, he said a slur. Like, do you think this person is automatically saying it like a slur? Hermaphrodite is just a fucking word.
Therefore, they would be non-binary.
Dude forgot that Riley would have a trophy. I can't work out what the deal is with that. But I think irrespective, he's just making shit up. When he starts talking about how it's just a grift and stuff like that. He's just spouting off a bunch of nonsense that he doesn't know about a person that he does not know. Because they're ideologically opposed. That's all there is to it. It's lazy as fuck.
Because they don't align with any of the genders that exist in any given society at any given time.
What does that mean to do? What does it mean to not align with the existing gender? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Isn't it gender binary? Because sex-independent genders is an evidence-free fiction. Yeah, I agree, fully. Like, you can't really remove gender from sex. Because gender is, the way we understand it, if we're going to call it something different from sex now, is that it's like social constructs and stuff relating to sex. Like, you take away sex and none of this fucking matters. None of this exists anyway.
Yeah, I think that's just called being an androgynous man or an androgynous woman. I think gender roles are way too overhyped and they're not as important.
These aren't about gender roles. This is about
feminine as a man or that. But
this isn't about roles.
But that's the difference. You could just say you're fucking.
Yeah, subjective identity. So it's subjective. So no one has to believe in it. No one has to agree with it. No one has to affirm it because it's subjective.
You're non-binary, or there's nothing to prove it. There's no. You have some type of mental.
Yeah, subjective. That's. I mean, he's going further, saying you have some kind of mental illness, but like. Ugh.
But when you're trans going from male to female, you are going across technically the binary. You're switching from one to the other.
Incorrect.
I've also not.
That's not even. That's by the way. That's not really how it works for trans people either. It's not about them switching their gender identity. It's just them.
You're trying to fit into the roles normally of a female. You feel that it's you.
Yeah. So he's trying to say that like gender identity is innate, but there's no evidence for that whatsoever. Like, how can your identity be innate when it's something that you apply to yourself? I identify means, you know, I call this, if I identify someone as black, that means that I'm calling them black. If I identify myself as black, it means that I'm calling myself black. If I identify as fucking gender fluid, that's just me calling myself that. That's not innate. That's like a culture-born thing that I've decided to apply to myself. That cannot be innate. That makes no sense.
You are a female.
not
You're trying to
talking about
embody feminine
roles.
traits to a certain degree.
We aren't talking about gender roles. We're talking about identity, which is nothing to do with gender roles. Identity is your is innate, subjective perception of your own.
How can it be innate? How can your identity be innate? It doesn't make any sense. And it's innate and subjective. If it's subjective, then why is there even rights about this shit? Because it's not something you can accurately determine from someone. You have to believe what they're saying, and they could just be lying. It just doesn't make any sense. Would I ever look at some videos from about Finster? I watched a video about Finster. I watched Chad Logic talking about Finster quite a while ago. I don't know, if you search my channel, you should find it. But yeah, the grooming stuff. I watched a video about it.
Own like self. It has nothing to do with the roles in society.
So do you think we have a female?
I don't even think that's true either. I think people want to take on a different social role. So like the identity kind of leads on to other stuff, no?
And a male soul, or do you think it's just some type of mental thing?
I think that our brains.
And if it causes,
yeah, I think that our.
Sorry, continue.
Okay, you got to turn off the echo though.
Oh, Jesus Christ, keep forgetting that. My bad.
I think that we have brains, and in our brains we have a gender identity.
This is nonsense. We have a gender identity in our brains, but we call ourselves gender. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's completely culture born. It's something you notice and then identify with yourself. That's not innate. That cannot be innate. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh my God.
And that gender identity will basically allow us to align our subjective perception of our sex and how that sex is aligned in our body.
Yeah, because the thing is, your sex is objective. So what trumps what then? Well, your objective sex is something you can see and know about someone. Your gender identity is just something someone calls themselves. How is something innate, but also a social construct? The answer is this guy doesn't know what a fucking clue is he's talking about. That made sense in my brain and didn't outside of my brain. Who cares?
So it's about whether or not you align with your sex, so you experience no distress by your sex, or you disalign with your sex. So
yeah, this is such an overcomplicated way of just saying gender dysphoria is being unhappy with your sex or gender. That's all there is to it. All this gender identity shit that you've decided is innate, even though it's culture born, doesn't make any sense. You're overcomplicating something very simple. You're trans, you're probably unhappy with the sex you were born in.
So you feel some distress with your sex. You feel that distress. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with like the roles at any given society. It's just
but all they're doing about it is just dressing androgynously.
At least this debate is civil. Yeah, but I mean, he's like twisting his words. He's like playing all these games and stuff. I don't see this as any better than being uncivil, frankly.
They're still objectively, you don't have to do anything. You have the sex of a man. You don't think you're a female.
Wait.
And you're just dressing androgynally and all.
This is the problem. This is the problem. You're misunderstanding. They don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah, you're misunderstanding because it's bollocks, mate. You're talking rubbish.
About it. You don't have to do anything about your gender identity for that gender identity to exist. It just is. It just
subjectively in your own brain and nowhere else
is a constant, right? If I'm a trans, if you,
and that's not even true either. That's not even true either. People's like perception of themselves in relation to their sex changes over time in so many people. You get people that were very masculine when they were younger that end up becoming a lot more feminine as they get older, or vice versa. This is nonsense. It's not that constant in most people, and it's not objectively true in anyone.
You have a trans woman and she never does anything to align her phenotypic representation with her gender identity. She still has the gender identity of woman. Just
what?
If you have a trans woman and she...
So if you have a trans woman that doesn't make any effort to look like a woman, they still identify as a woman.
Never does anything to align her phenotypic representation with her gender identity. She still has the gender identity of woman.
Why would anyone care about that gender identity? No one can see it. All they can do is tell you that's what they are. So you've got basically a man coming up to saying, actually, I'm a woman. Why would anyone take that seriously? You're making it sound like it's retarded.
Just because the expression.
What would the physical gender identity of a non-binary person then be? A eunuch? What would it be?
It would be non-binary.
Because if
Non-binary
they're
is. What do you mean? There is when we talk about gender expression, they would probably, depending on most of the non-binary people I know, don't really concern themselves with what they wear or how they dress or what, like, because that again is about expression and isn't
Either would an
directly.
androgynous person, and androgyny hasn't existed for a long time. Just all these,
Are we just doing the
new phrases and
not
labels.
listen game today? Is that what's
what?
happening? We're doing the not listen.
Sorry, I thought someone said that this was civil. Is this civil?
We're just doing the not listen.
Like, this guy lectures, and then whenever the other person talks for more than like 5 seconds, he starts interrupting. Very controlling over the way the conversation goes. All of these trans allies seem to act this way.
Game today? Is that what's happening? We're doing the not listen game today? Like, what? It's not about your gender expression. I don't know how many times I have to say that. It like what? It doesn't matter what you express yourself as, because their gender identity would still be non-binary.
They're not talking over. He's been talking over the other guy the whole time. What do you mean? I've been watching a different debate to you.
So, yeah.
I don't know why anyone's caveating anything with this. This is complete bullshit. This guy has been playing word games. He's starting to get quite rude now. I don't know why anyone is giving him any credence for anything, quite frankly. I don't care how civil he's supposedly being. I don't think he's being civil at all. I don't think it's civil to twist people's words in the hope they don't notice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You could just say you're non-binary. That doesn't mean anything. You're just still gonna fuck. There are people. I'm non-binary. I fuck women. I do this. I just dress differently. Yeah, you're just androgynous.
What does who you have sex with have anything to do with your gender identity? What?
Yeah, we're establishing a lot of what it isn't, but not what it is.
Sexuality. It doesn't. It's just fucking nonsense. It's just
You don't know what you're talking about. You're just saying things. Who you have sex with has nothing to do with what your gender is. Nothing. Literally nothing. They're not even
sex, gender. The stuff he writes on here is just funny to me. Like, do you even know? If you looked at this without hearing the debate, would you have a fucking clue what they're talking about? Is this something you can refer back to? I don't get it. What's the point in this?
remotely connected to each
gender
other.
is at that point, gender is just something you say, and it has no tangibility.
Gender is an identity. Gender is an identity.
Gender is an identity. Okay. Gender is an identity. There we go.
How else would somebody know what their identity is except for them saying it? What do you mean?
Yeah, just your.
How else would someone know what their identity is except for them saying it? You're making it sound retarded because it is.
Exactly. And at that point, it just caters to people who just want to be special. They're like an in group.
What are you talking about?
Like, fuck. Oh,
you're the one who keeps thinking about them. What do you mean? What do you want about?
Yeah, like this Ethan person is not really equipped to have this kind of conversation. Like, he's allowed Jovan to change his positions around and accept them, which sucks. Should have been listening a bit more closely. I don't know. This is the problem. These call-in things, they kind of bait these people with all kinds of ridiculous positions. But because they've got all the stuff on their side, all the supposed studies, which he hasn't shown any studies, and the first study I look up suggests the opposite of what he was saying regarding HRT removing like a strength advantage in males compared to females. Like, this is so dumb.
It's just fucking. I mean, no one's paying as much attention anymore. They've been quieter, but they were just. It's just fucking unnecessary. I'm not gonna like tweak on anyone because they're non-binary, but I've also never met.
Right now, you're doing that right now.
What?
He's tweaking right now. Like, oh man, I can hear the drool in his laughter. Why? Oh, these people suck, man. I think there was one person that showed up in my chat for a short while from Jovan's fucking community. They were a fucking freak. They were ousted in no time flat. I would ask him what is the gender identity of a person with schizophrenia. Yeah, that's a good point. Listen. Things like gender identity, they're very vulnerable to outside influence. They're very vulnerable to internal influence if you have some kind of delusional disorder or something. There's a lot to consider.
You're tweaking on non-binary people literally right now. Like that's
He writes it down. What point is that? He's tweaking. Oh, he's tweaking right now. What is this fucking whiteboard? This is so gay. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean,
what
in a
you're
personal,
doing.
I'm not going to meet someone who identifies as non-binary, and I'm not going to be like, oh, that's bullshit. Like, that's part of basic human respect.
great. You're just in your
Like,
head
you just,
gonna
if someone's
you're
like,
just
call me
in
this,
your
I'm like,
head, you're
whatever.
gonna go,
Like, I
"Damn,
don't know
y'all are
you.
fucked."
I'm not going to fuck with you.
Like what? This is nonsense. You don't even understand.
I think,
the
I might be
between...
losing connection. Fuck.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's fine then.
Oh, he just kicks him because his connection's going. Okay, wow. And then we grandstand for a bit. Oh my god, I can't believe that dude, right? It's like, don't worry about the fact that you lied multiple times on here. Don't worry about the fact that you changed his position to get him to accept it so you can make a bullshit argument about Michael Phelps that had nothing to do with anything. Yeah, he seems like a normal dude. Normal dudes are not equipped to argue with these kind of idiots. This guy will claim he's got all these studies showing that your male strength advantage over women disappears after 2 years of HRT as bullshit. He doesn't have any of those. I would love to see what he produced to show that. When literally the first thing I find suggests the opposite. Actually, even after 3 years, there's still advantages. Because of course there is. Because even if you got rid of like muscle mass and a few other things, there's other things that also influence how strong you are, how good you are at this, that, and the other, how fast you can run, you know, how well you can swing something, like so many things. Ah, it's cringe. Anyway, let's see what grandstanding bullshit he has for this guy.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Honest to God.
Okay, we're acting incredulous. Listen, act incredulous to make people feel stupid, but they're not actually being stupid. You're just suggesting that something they did was crazy or something. Oh, and that's it. Jesus Christ. There we go. Jovan Bradley still completely sucks at debating. He's got this disgusting little cult. Like, this stupid-ass talking point they use that the medical industry is making millions off of this. It's exhausting and stupid. But it's true. People are making bank off of this. What are you talking about, Becca 45? So obviously true. So obviously true that you can't even like refute it. You just say it's exhausting. Well, it sounds like the cognitive dissonance between yourself and reality is what's exhausting you, not the actual argument, because that is just true. Goalpost shift so fast. Like, I think these people are like actually brain dead. I think these people are actually like completely wrapped around this fucking loser's finger. You have to be, because they'll just say all the things that Jovan was doing, but pretend it was the other side doing them. When this guy's a fucking liar, where he doesn't know anything about anything. He's just found a way to sound authoritative. It's a bit like Vorsh or any of those other fucking losers. And then when you talk to them, they're in complete fucking denial. Like, I don't know, I spoke to First Amender recently. Dude's completely off his rocker. Completely nuts. These trans allies are fucking terrible. Anyway, I can't be asked anymore. There we go, Jovan Bradley.